But it's all about finding that incentive for the kid. So he liked that we were on the same level, and that if he did what I told him not to, and he pulled that outside pitch, that he had to do the push-ups, and if I hit him, then I had to do something. He liked that.
But you found that the key to a good batting practice pitcher is finding their hitting zone.
Oh my goodness! And I tell you, if I got paid to pitch to these kids in game, I'd be a millionaire, because I could find that weak spot so quick on all these guys. And I have a big left-handed kid who just, I mean, his toes are almost touching the plate. And I asked him, I said, "Are you aware that you're doing that?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, I'm fine if you do that." Just because he wants that outside pitch. I said, "That's fine. Just know if they come in on you, you have no shot where you're at right now. But if you're aware of that, I'm okay if you do that." He's like, "Yeah, okay, fine."
Well, and you're likely to wear some. So
exactly, yeah. Well, and he's a big target, and he doesn't seem to mind, so that doesn't bother me. But then the kid who was struggling with pulling that outside pitch, I said, "Okay, let's work on this now." I said, "But when we get in game, until you have 2 strikes, just hunt the inside pitch." I said, "This is what we're working on, is a 2-strike scenario. I want you to hunt that pitch, get your good pitch until you have 2 strikes, and it's not time for that." So trying to build a little bit of approach into them. But I will say I have a team of swingers, and I will take a team of swingers over a team of stand-therers.
Right. Yeah. So knowing that this is opening day weekend coming up for the Glovehounds, what's our prognosis, other than lots of rain on Saturday and probably a reschedule? But
well, I'm going to be missing a couple key players, so if it does get rained down, I won't be super upset. I tell you, we made a ton of progress in a very short amount of time. I mean, you're talking 2 practices spread out with various amounts of attendance. But it's rec ball. Kids are going on vacation. I said, go on vacation. I'm the secondary sport, and I know that. No big deal. The biggest thing is we just haven't had to put all the steps into one big dance yet. So last night we had to do. I've tried to break down the game into lots of drills, but then it's a matter of trying to get these kids to then put it together. And last night we had to do live pitching, live hitting with position players, and I hate doing that because it's a horribly inefficient way to run a practice. But I was trying to get a little more simulation going on. So.
You should pat yourself on the back, because, I mean, given the time to help these kids to learn life skills through baseball, and there are a lot of things to learn, and if you focus on teaching them life skills, then baseball is a byproduct.
Yeah, I like
That's
that.
a good one. Well, welcome back. This is episode 3, season 2. Today, we're going to continue our series on the mental game of baseball, and we're going to be talking about the importance of a pregame routine. What do we do in the 24 hours leading up to an important game, tournament, practice, thing that sits in front of us there? So, George, who's our player pick this week?
Our player pick this week, he played for the Cincinnati Reds for 11 years, Vada Pinson. And we talked about Al Oliver last time, and I didn't realize that these guys were comparable as far as hits. Both of them had over 2,700 hits, and Vada Pinson had 2757 as far as hits. His career batting average is 286. He also had 256 home runs. And he was an all-star for 4 years. He played 18 years. 2 years he drove in 100-plus RBIs. And he won a Gold Glove 1 year. And he had over 1,000 RBIs. And I don't know why, once again, that this guy was overlooked. And I just feel bad for guys who have the stats to be there, but they're not being honored or even talked about. And I know it's been such a long period of time, nobody even bringing up the name. And like I said, I was surprised about the number of hits he had. And if I'm surprised, I know these reporters, they should know more, or being given more information on, look at these stats, and not put the name up there. Look at these stats. Should this guy be in the Hall of Fame? And then you put the name up, because you compare his numbers to guys who are in the Hall of Fame, undoubtedly he should be there. So Vada Pinson, like I say, he played for 11 years with the Cincinnati Reds, a standout player, and with a 286 career batting average, and having over 250 home runs, and the key, over 2,700 hits.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And for the ones who are good in math, that's 243 short of 3,000. 3,000 hits is a great plateau.
Yeah. And he was just ahead of you in Cincinnati, right? Like he played in like
with Frank Robinson,
like
those guys. Yeah.
He never struck out 100 times in a year. The most he ever struck out in a year was 99.
Incredible. That's along with Joe DiMaggio. Joe DiMaggio with 650 some strikeouts.
But then, just like Al Oliver, he also didn't walk that much. I think the most he ever walked was about 55. So just another guy who's going to put the ball in play nonstop.
Well, plus with him, if he did walk, it would be great. But he stole over 300 bases, and that's another aspect. So he was a complete player.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, the campaign for him to be recognized is not without some serious effort. I know that just by being a Reds fan and having Reds things showing up in my Facebook feed, his family and
right,
the people around him work really, really hard to constantly bring his record and his experience up and keep that in the public eye. They do a fantastic job of keeping his.
It's unfortunate that you have to go out and campaign.
Yeah,
there are the numbers. Yeah. Why should you go out there and campaign? And the people who are voting guys into the Hall of Fame should be more sensitive to the fact that this is the important honor, and to let the guy know that, hey, you had a stellar career.
He's also doing that in an era where it wasn't easy for African-American players to be playing.
That part is having that resistance there.
Yeah.
But you go back to Jackie Robinson, how did he do it? Yeah. So we talk about mental. How did he mentally prepare?
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, was he afraid, or when there are death threats out there, how did he prepare to go out there and just focus on playing the game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea how a person prepares for that kind of pressure. You talk about playing under pressure. I don't know anybody who's played under any greater pressure than that. That was amazing. So yeah, Veda Penson. Let's keep him him out there in the public discourse. That would be a good thing to do. Let's talk about the preparation that we do before a game. George, you made a whole career out of this. So, I mean, I'm sure your pregame routine evolved over the years. Can you tell us a little bit about what it may have looked like in your early years? And then the more you learned about the game and playing and that kind of thing, how did it change as you became more experienced?
In my younger days, I found myself, I guess, getting too hyped up for the game. And it's like maybe 8 o'clock in the morning, we have a 7 o'clock game. So I learned to, I guess, calm down and relax and not feeling that I'm going to forget certain things because I maybe had a good game the previous game and it's in my head. It's like playing it back like it's a replay. And so now I'm ready to play. But then I somewhat exhaust myself, waiting for those 10 hours to pass by. But I learned to, regulate things. And when I got to that point, I knew I had a good schedule. So I would say in the morning or as a night game, I would get up and have breakfast, walk around, get my body acclimated to that day. And I would go and take I call a power nap. And I always encourage kids to listen to music. I know they love music. Find music that they really like. So I want soft music in the beginning for the ones who know, oldie but goodies, Al Green. I always listen to Al Green when I'm relaxing. And then when I get up, I listen to James Brown. So I want to get up. Yeah, get on up. So those two things helped me. And then I would go and have maybe like 4 o'clock and have something to eat, something not light. In the beginning, I was eating steak and it was too heavy. And I realized that, okay, and I started eating pasta was a carb. So you want to eat something that's going to turn into energy. So the eating part is very important. I know we're going to talk about that, but that was part of my routine. So when I go to the ballpark, I'm already at the plate mentally. And my confidence was so intense. And so now when the game starts, it's like I already been there. I know what's going to happen. I already put myself in that situation. So it's a situation like Mr. T, I pity the fool who's going to be pitching today.
Ethan, walk us through. So, like, in the later years of your career, you were in high school, so you got a game coming up. Odds are you're going to school that day. You got to sit through class. You got all kind of things going on. How do you prepare yourself with all that other stuff to do that particular day?
Well, starting out freshman year, once it got to baseball season, every day after school, when you would pick me up, we'd go to Subway, and I would eat Subway before every single game.
Yeah.
And looking back, that was kind of a checkout. It was like, all right, school's over. We're going to bridge the gap and then get to the game because, we would, oh goodness, school would be out at 2:30 and we'd have to be at the bus by what? 3:30 probably. Like there wasn't time to go home and do anything. So that was kind of a good way to do that. And then the other thing for as many things as I, wasn't thrilled about in my high school baseball career, one thing we did really well was pregame prep. We had a great stretching routine, static and dynamic, and had a great band routine and all that. And as much as that helped physically, it was just like checkpoints of preparation mentally. It's like, okay, I've warmed up this part of my body. I've did this. And so I don't know. I really enjoyed the flow of the routine to kind of set the tone for me.
Cool.
That's a key word, routine. Mm-hmm. Develop a good routine and stick with that routine. There'll be times that you may alter it, but you're going to find it's going to affect your output, your results, but stay with that routine.
And I'll say one other thing, because I played for a different travel team every single year, I was exposed to either a different philosophy or no philosophy every single year. And so it was just a matter of building that piece by piece. And then I would get to a point where a team had no structure as far as pregame, but because I had already had that experience of building that pregame routine previously, then I was able to implement. And that was something that you really encouraged me to do. And I didn't understand that until later in my career, but as a musician, having your own warm-up routine and that kind of thing.
Yeah, that was huge. That was one of the first things they really, I had a really good teacher when I was in high school who talked about being ready for a gig. And then when we got to college, it was much more of a serious thing because the way it works the way it worked at Miami University in the mid 90s anyway, early 90s, was ensembles or whoever would contact the college. So people who needed trumpet players for a gig would call my professor and they would say, hey, can we contract, 2 or 3 guys to come play this thing with this orchestra or this jazz band or this whatever. And so then he would pick those of us that he thought were best fits for the gig. And he would say, hey, you want to do a gig? And we're like, sure. And then he would set us up and we would go and play it and get paid and come back. And then, then we'd talk about what was that like? How would you, that kind of thing. And so when we were going out to represent the school and represent him and represent the trumpet studio, we got a quick education real fast on how to be professional and how to make a good impression, do a good job, and that kind of thing. And so, preparation was everything for that. And so we were taught how to play through the gig in your head before you ever get there. What do you eat? When do you sleep? How do you start thinking through this? The whole situation. And what we found, or at least what I found, that I continued clear into my 40s playing gigs was, on gig day, I have a routine that I do, starting from breakfast all the way to, the first downbeat. And when you're playing gigs as a musician, you may not start till 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and you may play till 1 or 2 in the morning. I mean, sometimes it's like that. So yeah, there's that huge bit of time that you got to figure out what to do with. And so, if gig day looks like this, and here's the schedule, then at least I know that on that day, these are all the things I'm going to do. I'm going to get up, I'm going to eat, I'm going to whatever, I'm going to go through all my gear, I'm going to make sure all my stuff is in good shape and ready to roll. I'm going to get it all packed, make sure I have everything I need, pack for contingency, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to take a nap, I'm going to get ready, lots of things I'm going to do. And I think having that, regardless of what you're preparing for, I've heard guys who, guys are going hunting and they have a whole thing that they do before they go hunting. and they get all their stuff laid out and they get, whatever. So it really doesn't matter what it is that you're doing, the prep ahead of time to have a regular schedule of things that you do on thing day. Okay. Whatever that is, takes away what it does is it takes away the unknown.
Yeah.
And it takes away the chance.
The anxiety.
Yeah. So you're going, okay, I could sit around and worry that I'm going to screw up or make a mistake or and if I've got stuff to busy myself that's productive toward when it happens, then I don't spend that time sitting around, worrying about things and rehearsing, sort of negative thoughts in my head and, stuff like that. So
yeah, my favorite aspect to this topic is that all of the preparation is not skill based. This is anyone can do this. Though you could be the worst kid on your team. That doesn't mean you can't build yourself a solid routine and make the most of the skill that you have built so far anyway. And reflexively for the best player on the team, you may not be tapping into all of your potential if you're not setting yourself up for success by trying to maximize that. You're not eating right, you're not sleeping, you're not setting yourself up to perform at that highest level, but you're a good enough athlete that maybe your 75% is good enough to pass. Don't settle for that. Always try to be pushing for your maximum performance.
And that'll only last so long.
Yeah.
And then there'll be some kid who just outworks you on the ground.
Then you're Jamarcus Russell and you somehow manage to get it all the way to the NFL. And then you find out that you don't know how to watch film and the whole thing falls apart. Yeah.
So, we look back at baseball history and we see, we all hear the fun stories about Babe Ruth and how he used to, eat 100 hot dogs and drink a barrel of beer and go play baseball and no sleep and all that. There's also a reason why there was only one Babe Ruth.
Right.
So
the other guy it wasn't strange, but after he retired from the game, he said, because I think his dad, it was a military family, Wade Boggs, had to have his chicken or had to be somewhere at a certain period of time. And he said after he retired, he said, oh, that was work. But he knew that he needed to do that to perform the way he did. And nobody bothered him. They understood his routine.
That's funny.
As a matter of fact, I think we had gone to one city and all the restaurants, they either didn't have chicken or didn't let him eat there.
That's funny. So you finished the season last year, exhausted from all the travel and the tournaments, and you tossed your gear in a bag where it's been sitting all winter. Now you're ready for another year, but your favorite glove that fits just right is an error waiting to happen. The leather's dry, the laces are brittle, and this year you're on a new team with new colors, and it sure would be cool if it matched. Well, wouldn't it be great if you had a glove guy who could help you out with that? You do. His name is Ethan, and he owns Glovehound Baseball Glove Repair Shop in Fairfield, Ohio. Just contact him at glovehound.com and upload pictures of your glove. He'll give you a call back to talk it over, and then you can send it in for a repair, relace, recondition, whatever you need. If you're in the area, you can even just stop by the shop. That way you don't have to bother with shipping, and a lot of times he can even fix it while you wait. Rawlings, Wilson, Mizuno, All-Star, Nakona, he's seen them all, and he's helped players at all levels, from beginners to pros. Last year he worked on a glove that Jose Trevino used in the World Series, and he can help you too. You can find Glovehound on Google, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at glovehound.com. You're only going to get busier, so reach out today and give your glove the love it deserves at Glovehound. Let's talk about sleep. So both the night before, the day of, these kinds of things. How does something like sleep affect your on-field performance?
When they talk about, it's not maybe a number, it's whatever you need to be ready.
Right.
And some they talk about maybe 8 hours of sleep. Sometimes that's too much. You can overdo it.
Yeah.
But it's important to rest your body so that not only physically, but mentally, because there are a lot of things going on during the day and you're interacting with people. So being able to relax. And I always tell kids or people that everybody does it, daydreaming. It's so relaxing or visualization is the higher level of daydreaming. But being able to get into a happy place in your house or in your mind and just helps you to relax and put yourself in this. Like, playing tennis, playing golf. I visualize a great golf shot or a great ace. I'm playing like Federer out there. So you're light on your feet. So you put yourself in that situation. So now when the game starts, it started to flow. You feel so relaxed, like you're floating out there. But when you start hearing noises, you know that, oh, my concentration's not there. Mm-hmm. But finding something that, like I said earlier about music, and finding a place in your house that you can relax. And I love when I'm driving to put on some music. And one time it was been dangerous though. People have great music playing and sort of get out of their car where their car is moving and trying to dance. I said, don't do that.
Yeah, and this is one of those controllables, and this is something, especially for kids, you don't necessarily have as many responsibilities. So just go to bed. Like, it's not that. And I was terrible about this, and or even I would stay up too late and then try to go to sleep, but I'd been sitting there on my phone or whatever it was, and my brain was too active. And I know this sounds boring, but put your phone away before bed and read something, or even just listen to music. But that blue light, I mean, it's no joke, man. It keeps your brain awake. Since becoming a parent of young children, I definitely value sleep a lot more than I did when I was in high school.
Well, you mentioned a couple of things there. Number one, sleep is something that is controllable. You can't control whether the pitcher that you're going to face that day is just totally on his stuff. Mm-hmm. And, you can't control whether the other team hits or they don't, or whether you get any run support or you don't. You can't control any of that. But you can control whether you went to bed. You can control whether you sat up and did something silly, or you showed some self-discipline and put yourself to bed on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. If you're playing ball and you want to be serious about playing ball, if people are fussing at you to go to bed, if your mom or your dad, if they are fussing at you, your grandma, somebody fussing at you to go to bed, you are not serious about playing baseball. It's just that simple.
That's some country saying, fussing. Yeah. Fussing.
I mean, go out there and look up Christian McCaffrey's high school routine. I mean, he was going to bed before 8 o'clock every single night in high school. How many high schoolers consistently go to bed before 8 o'clock now, know? But he was a guy that took it serious very early on, and it definitely paid off. Or you even watch some of Trevor Bauer's vlogs, and he talks about how intentional he is about his sleep and the different, gadgets that he brings with him when he travels, just to really pay attention to sleep. I mean, it's no joke. And it's just funny because you'll hear professionals talk about sleep and hydration and nutrition and how big of a role that they play. And that's one of the few things that can translate down to the youth level. Like, yeah, they can hit big home runs. Okay, maybe little 11-year-old Johnny can't do that because he's not, big enough. But sleep, hydration, nutrition, those are easy things that can translate.
Yeah, so this is one of the things we're going to come back to over and over again today, which is if you are a person who wants to be serious about what you're doing, whether you're playing music, you're playing sports, you're doing academics, you're doing whatever it is. Okay, if you are not making smart decisions on the controllable things, then you're not serious. Mm. And you need to really ask yourself about this. I went through this, we went through this with music. If you're out there running around doing silly stuff when you're supposed to be practicing and you're not getting your practice time in, you are not serious. Mm-hmm. Don't come tell me you're serious if you're not controlling the controllables. There are enough things in life that are not controllable that will work against you. You don't need to be working against yourself.
Well, it's part of, had talked about some last time, is that if you're afraid to fail, you're going to limit your success.
Sure.
It's same as here. If you don't get your rest, you're going to find that you're not going to be as consistent or as productive. Mm-hmm. And don't complain about it. Mm-hmm. You set yourself up to do it. Or the other statement is, if you're striving to be perfect, you failed already.
Yeah, one of the things I think would be interesting if I were coaching a team again these days is to, everybody asks, baseball related questions when they're trying to get to know their players. I would be interested to know, okay, what's everybody's bedtime? Do you have one? When do you go to bed? What's your bedtime routine? I want to know what'd you eat yesterday?
Right.
What'd you eat yesterday? I want to know, are you controlling the controllables? Because if you're not, then don't come to my practice griping about how you're not getting enough playing time because you are not serious.
You're not ready. You can tell you're not ready.
And and it's so sad because a lot of times you see this when you get these young guys come up to the major league of whatever the sport that they have, and they're just great guns. But then, you hear these stories about the crazy things they're doing, and it's like, oh wow, they did this crazy thing and still were able to compete at a high level. My big question is sustainability.
Right.
So,
You may get away with it first time around.
There's some crazy stories that George probably shouldn't tell about the Mets in the 80s, and that was a ridiculous time. That was not sustainable. It may have gotten the job done for a very short period of time, but that did not produce an amazing career. So, just because you hear some story about how this Jordan flu game, okay? How about, so he did it. It's not like he was trying to do that. That was a one-time thing that came and went.
Yeah, I doubt that Michael Jordan would
do that on a regular basis.
We'll recommend everybody go get the flu and then go play.
But we tend to be radicalized by these because they make good stories, they make good articles, good YouTube videos, good social media posts. It's like, oh well, he's just so good, he doesn't even have to try. It's like, no, that's nonsense. Like you're talking about even smaller fractions of 1%.
Let me mention this real quick. So there's also things that can affect your sleep that aren't necessarily sleep related. For instance, if you got a bunch of homework to do and you're waiting to do your homework to the very last minute, and so you got to stay up late and do it, and you don't get your sleep because you were fooling around and not getting to your homework, then by not being serious and disciplined about doing your homework, now you're costing yourself sleep, and now the dominoes are starting to fall. And then, then you're behind here and behind there and behind here. So having discipline in other areas may affect.
You got to budget your time.
Yeah. So okay.
We're talking about nutrition, but the Reds, I know the Reds too. I don't know about the other clubs. They actually have a dietitian that work with the players. And you find, it's not profiling, but you find most of the Latin players, they have bad eating habits. So it's just training them to eat properly because it's going to affect their performance later on because their body's not consuming what they should be. And in the beginning, I know the dietitian who's there, she got a lot of resistance. But later on, they start playing better and start feeling better.
Well, let's talk. Yeah, Ethan is uniquely qualified, I think, here. Let's talk about how Ethan ate in his high school years versus how Ethan eats now.
Bonbons.
I mean, it was just well, first of all, I just love to eat. It's just something I enjoy doing. I love tasting food. I love making food.
We used to say when he was little that he never actually got full. He just got tired of chewing.
Oh my gosh, I just love, and
his name should have been Mikey.
I'll eat anything and I'll try anything. Eating is just fun to me. But yeah, I ate like garbage. And my freshman year, I wouldn't pack a lunch because I'd be too lazy. I'd grab a protein bar. I'm under fueled, and then I wonder why my stomach is upset before I go weightlift. I'm like, you doofus. Maybe if you'd eat something, I mean, it's looking back, I'm like, what?
All the while, his mother is trying to encourage him differently,
and props to Mama Dungan because holy crap, did she give it everything she had, and I just was not interested. I wanted to eat like crap, But and so my freshman year, I was 205. And I wanted to be a catcher, but I couldn't move laterally. I mean, I was slow and clunky. And so I didn't get that opportunity. I ended up pitching and hitting. But then that off season, I dropped 20 pounds. And I think that was also kind of just, growth and
you got
general.
Taller and
so there was, I wouldn't say that's specific diet related. But then I did start to take things more seriously, and what do you know? My performance increased because I was more athletic.
Yeah, what you take in is going to affect what comes out.
And then, as you get older and older, you get more responsibility, and you start to have the opportunity to control more of that. And by the time I was done playing, I had figured out that a peanut butter and jelly right before I played was the perfect amount because I didn't want to eat a heavy meal, but I didn't want to eat nothing but a peanut butter and jelly and a banana. I mean, that was
protein,
perfect.
Potassium.
And that's so easy to make as a kid. That doesn't require your parent to drive you anywhere or any special ingredients. So it's just a matter of that. And then I will say, once you grow up and you're on the hook for all of your food, and first of all, eating out is expensive. So you start to learn how to make your own food and that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's been such an evolution and really just learning about how different foods affect the body and trying to avoid inflammatory foods and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, it's interesting to learn about as an adult. Maybe that kind of stuff is boring for a high school kid, but it's really, really valuable.
Well, I tell you what, the biggest things that I think are that you can remember is, number one, get enough protein and good protein. Okay. Big Mac protein is not the same as chicken breast protein. Gold Star chili protein is not the same as fish protein. It's just not. Okay. So get as clean a protein as you can and get enough of it. When you start looking at your body and what it requires according to your size and things like this, and you look at how much protein are you taking in and how much of it is junky filler, chemically laden protein, and how much of it is clean, just the difference. Something I've learned in recent years here, when you start looking at lunch meat, okay, you look at
processed
turkey. Yeah. Turkey very rarely has any junk in it because they just don't. I don't know why, they just don't. They don't put it in there. But ham has all kinds of junk in it. Ham, salamis, bolognas, the things those have all kinds of junk and fillers and chemicals and all kinds of crud in them. But turkey, chicken, these kinds of things, much better for you in the long run if you're going to make a sandwich. One other thing about nutrition is being mindful of the amount of inflammatory food that you eat. So there are certain foods high in, I think omega-6s are inflammatory, I believe.
I believe so.
That when you eat them, they will cause your joints to develop inflammation. And that's what will make you sore. It's what will make you struggle a lot, especially as you get older and come into adulthood. When you're young, you're 10 years old, you're made out of rubber, you go do what you want, you bounce off the ground, it's no big deal.
Your metabolic rate is different.
Yeah, the older you get, the more that inflammation really matters. And so think of it as if your joints are inflamed, they're red, they're swollen, they're painful. And if you're trying to play when your elbow is like that, you're trying to throw, or your shoulder is like that, or your knees are like that, and you're trying to run, or your ankles are like that. Okay, your hips, you had a hip situation. It wasn't necessarily inflammation related, but yet inflammation would certainly not have helped it.
Yeah, I have an impingement on both of my hips, and there's a little nub on my bones that irritates my hips. And so that's already going to cause inflammation. And so if I'm also eating inflammatory foods, it only escalates that. So trying to mitigate that inflammation is big.
Inflammatory foods are junk food, fast food, anything that's easy, comes in a package, comes in a combo meal,
chemical related.
Without getting too woo-woo, as they say about it, a big one is seed oils.
Yeah.
I'm not that your canola oil, your peanut oil, your sunflower oil, all that kind of stuff.
Olive oil.
Well, olive oil that's one of the better ones, but these deep frying oils, it's just, you eat a piece of fried chicken, you're not just eating the chicken and the breading, you're eating all of the oil that breading soaks up.
And I will tell you directly from the queen of the crunchy moms, Kentucky Fried Chicken, although it's incredibly delicious, is probably the worst thing on planet Earth for you to eat.
Yeah, not ideal.
Bringing all the grease.
But if you start looking at the labels, there's canola oil in everything. There are these seed oils in all of your snack foods, in your chips. Sometimes it's in dried fruit. I mean, it's everywhere.
It serves as a preservative.
Yeah, and so I'm not going to demonize it as much as if you eat it, it's the end of the world. But an excess of it definitely is not ideal, and all of that is avoided by just eating whole foods.
Yeah. It's disguised as having rheumatism or arthritis, so it's just an inflammation you gathered from what food you ate.
Yeah.
And think about when you do take in your calories. Think about the quality of what those are. So Wonder Bread versus a whole grain bread is a whole different ballgame. Wonder Bread is going to become entirely sugar. Whole grain bread may be a little bit different, depending on which whole grain bread you buy, because a lot of those have a bunch of junk in them too. So it's one of the reasons why we make all our own bread at home now. And not everybody can do that, but I bake bread regularly, and we have fresh bread every week from home because we eat sourdough bread instead of processed bread. There's a lot of junk in bread.
And go easy on yourself, because if you do enough research, I think you can find at least one influencing person that will demonize every food out there. Like there is at least one person that will, that will swear that bananas are the worst, are the worst, or that you can't eat this. And it gets a little crazy, but the best way that I found it to be manageable is making quality substitutions. So if, like you said, on your peanut butter and jelly, find a better bread for that. Find a more natural peanut butter. Find a lower sugar jelly, and so it's
like a preserves instead of a jelly, so it's still got chunks of fruit in it.
Mainly making sure there's no high fructose corn syrup in it.
High fructose corn syrup is bad.
But a peanut butter and jelly where you've picked each individual ingredient and maximized that versus an Uncrustable. Yeah, there's a lot more ingredients in an Uncrustable.
Yeah.
So.
If you can just simply avoid as much high fructose corn syrup as possible, as many seed oils and bad fats as possible. Those two things alone, and lower your sugar intake. Yeah. I mean, soft drinks and sugary drinks, coffee drinks.
Don't even get me started on liquid calories.
I'm talking about energy drinks. Energy drinks are very dangerous.
If
you can limit your sugar, get smarter fats, and get rid of as much high fructose corn syrup as possible.
And it's really just not that complicated. It can be as simple as eat more fruits and vegetables. I mean,
that too. On top of protein, look at your snacks.
Yeah, there was one guy. I don't remember who it was, but he had said, eat more foods that will go bad if they sit on your counter.
That's a good way to think about it.
Just less processed foods in general. It makes a big difference. Yeah. Oranges, apples, but I mean, easy stuff. That's nature's processed food. That's grab and go right there. I mean, there's lots of handheld, on the go kind of stuff, but and there's a lot of marketing nonsense out there about super performance laden this and that. Gatorade chews and energy. I mean, it gets kind of nuts after a while. But
I tell kids that though, you drinking this Gatorade, for every bottle of Gatorade, you got to drink 2 bottles of water.
Yeah.
They say, this is good for you, because the commercials say that.
So let's talk about hydration here real quick. So, taking enough water with you to the game, and then some people like their water super cold. Some people don't. I don't think temperature is nearly as important as having the right amount of water with you at a game.
But you want to drink before you need it.
Yeah, that's all I was going to say.
The key. Drink before you need it. Oh, I'm not. Drink before you need it.
Yeah, hydration starts before the game, not once it starts.
And it's like that for a lot of things. When I was singing with a group, we would go and people would say, "Oh, do you need a bottle of water?" Well, during the gig, no, I don't need a bottle of water. It's just one more distraction on stage. If I didn't drink enough prior to where I'm properly hydrated to do the performance, then having a bottle on stage, it's too late at that point. It's not hydrating your body fast enough to help you in the moment. And sports, very much the same thing. Like, get the water in yourself ahead of time. So, because also during a game, if you're drinking a lot of water, now it's sitting on your stomach.
Bloated.
Yeah, and that makes it hard. So drink throughout the day, figure out how much you need, space that out, and say, okay, I need to start drinking water at noon or at 1 o'clock or at 10 in the morning or whatever it is, to do it in small increments and get it in your body throughout the day. It's
when it's
to be hydrated.
Hot out, it's easy to tell that you need to replenish the liquid when you're perspiring, but it's deceiving when it's cold and you're thinking, oh, I'm not sweating, but still you need that water so you won't get dehydrated.
Talk about, George, some of the dangers of getting serious cramps while you're playing at a high level.
Oh yeah, you can. I just knew at nighttime it really would come on when I first started playing in Oregon, and it's always hot out, so you don't think about how much water you need to replenish. So at nighttime you start getting cramps and more in your hammies, And it can be very dangerous. You could end up pulling a muscle having it, but I didn't have it in any other areas. Some guys would have it in your hands, and when they're trying to throw. One time I had it in my arm. I threw a lot of batting practice, and it started to cramp up. But I knew that I didn't drink enough water that particular day. So like I say, water is very important. So it becomes dangerous. And have it in your stomach. Oh, it's like I had gone out to play golf, and it's like 5 hours of golf in Arizona, and I hadn't eaten anything. So I figured I would, drink a lot of liquid, I'd be fine. And it took me about a day to recover because Bobby Tolan almost passed away because of that fact, because he got so dehydrated and his body started to shut down. So it can affect your whole body, your kidneys, your liver, whatever. But you got to make sure people don't understand the importance of it. It's, I'm fine. But you don't want to get to that extreme that your body starts to shut down.
And you can't forget potassium.
No.
Munenori Kawasaki said, monkey eat banana, monkey never cramps.
Monkey like bananas.
I'm learning a lot today.
Yeah, so let's talk about, is it as important to prepare mentally as it is to prepare physically? Ethan, what do you think?
The biggest thing is the two go hand in hand. They're not mutually exclusive from one another. The mental it's making sure that you can unlock the full amount of your physical. And I think poor mental preparation can hinder your physical performance and not allow you to access the full range of your athletic ability. What do you think about that?
I agree.
That's very good.
Okay. I tried.
I can't follow up on that note. But I was going to say that there's only a certain level that you can get to the physical.
Yeah.
And so now the mental it's unlimited. But you have to, like Ethan was saying, you have to keep going out there and developing it. And you never know where it could go until you keep working at it. But the mental part is going to help you to release the whatever physical. And it's along with, if it's in sports, a mechanical part. So you got to have to go hand in hand. You can't have really one without the other if you want to be successful and being consistent at it.
Yeah, the mind is a muscle. Got to work it out too.
Yeah, well, and when your body don't want to do anymore, and we've been that route before, where you practice so much that your body won't go anymore. Your brain can keep going. Your brain can keep thinking about it. So that's all.
You become a robot if you're just doing it physically.
Yeah.
So now you're being able to. I know when I was being a scout for a Japanese team, and they would go a whole hour in stretching. I said, that's just too much. By the time you finish stretching, you're time for a nap. But you got there's like say if you could go out there and meditate, they meditate a lot, which is great. Meditation is very important.
So let's talk about, let's kind of move on to specific ways to prepare mentally. So one of the things that I was thinking about is being able to sit down and go through in your mind what's led up to that situation. So kind of go back, let's go back in time a little bit and go back to the last practice. What did you work on most in the last practice? What went well? What didn't? What are some things that your coach has said more than once recently that he's maybe really wanting to work on, or maybe has said, okay, well, at the last game, we made a lot of mental errors, or we did a lot of this, we did a lot of that. Go back over those things in your mind before the next event, before the next practice, before the next game, and then start talking to yourself about, okay, what can I do to make that better? Obviously, I can't be the whole team, but in my function as one guy on this team, what can I do to make that better? Is it be more prepared, be more into the game, concentrate more on my footwork, whatever. What is that I can do? So if we go backwards and see what was before, and then kind of go over, okay, what can I do to make that different going forward? I think that helps with the note taking anyway, or the mental preparation. I don't know your thoughts.
Well, when I prepare myself for practice. So you got to have a purpose when you're practicing. So that's certain things that you need to work on. Okay, what do I need to do? And asking someone, or actually say, get in there early and work on it. And so now the practice becomes more productive. And it's important to have practice so it can carry into a game situation. So after a game, always go back and saying, where can I improve on that situation? What could I have done differently to make it better? And if it's offensively or defensively, and I running the bases, should I have taken another, gone first to third or stopped at second? Did I understand what the situation was at the time? Should I have thrown the ball to second or thrown the ball to third? So all those things is that, okay, am I prepared for all that situation? And the pitcher, because like with Phil Necro, okay, knowing that, okay, you got to get him early, get him within the first 4 innings before the knuckleball start working. And after that, it's going to really be a challenge. And then Joe Necro, knowing that when he gets behind the count, I call it a simulated fastball. It's not really fast, but it's straighter than a knuckleball. But I, to a degree, own him, and hitting home runs in the Astrodome at the time, that was a big achievement. And my first time up one game, he got behind the count. I said, no, a fastball is coming. But if you're not prepared for it, now he's going to be a surprise. So I hit the ball to right center, line drive home run. So I'm running around the base. I come back in the dugout. Guys are looking at me like, what? The ball doesn't usually carry here. Are you on something? Then the next time up, I hit a line drive to left field. The ball doesn't carry, but I know hitting line drive there, the ball would take off. But I was prepared. I knowing that, okay, like I say, if he's behind in the count, what's going to happen? Phil Necro, get him early. And things like that go through, get yourself ready for a game. This guy, Dick Ruffin, if he's ahead in the count, he's always going to throw a changeup. And I want to tell the umpire, just call it wherever it is because he's going to throw me a changeup. So things like that really is very helpful. You look at idiosyncrasies that Nolan Ryan, if his hands go above his head, he's going to throw a fastball. If his hands just go chest high, he's going to throw a curveball. So things like that you pick up to get that edge.
I got 2 things on that. One, it sounds like you're putting as much of that mental load on your practice as you can to then not have to have it on the game.
It's continuity. It's just not segmented. And certain things I said, I want to get parents together and talk to them about how they should react during a game, what they should say to their kids. And I know, but they would swear to this, say, yeah, a coach would say, perfect practice make perfect. I said, no, it's not going to be perfect. Or practice make perfect. No, that's not true. But a lot of these kids believe that. It's been they brainwashed to believe that. I said, it makes you better, but you're not going to be perfect.
How about practice makes progress? Is that better?
I like practice make progress, yes.
There's still alliteration there. The other thing, there's clips of Pete Rose talking about how hitting got easier once he got to the big leagues because you face the same guys over and over again, and you're able to pick up on that. Whereas in the youth game, you may only ever see that pitcher one time, and that's it. So, but putting the emphasis on that on your practice then frees you up to try to zero in and try to pick up those idiosyncrasies when you can.
Well, small things, it turned out to be a big thing. And hitting up the tee, a lot of guys, I don't like hitting off a tee. So what I did, I got a Sharpie to put a little dot on the ball, and I want to focus on hitting that dot. So that increased my concentration. So now when the game starts, I'm actually trying to visualize a dot on the actual ball. If I can see that dot, it's going to be easier seeing the baseball. But in the same token, it helps you to improve your concentration, really focus on seeing a certain imaginary dot on the ball.
Level swing. Let it travel. Wait for your pitch. Be aggressive out there. It's no wonder young players get confused at the plate. What if your son or daughter could learn not only how to hit the ball, but also where to hit it, when to hit it there, and why? George Foster has played baseball at the very highest levels. He was the National League MVP when he hit 52 home runs and 149 RBIs in a single season. He led the major leagues in home runs twice and RBIs 3 times. He was a 5-time All-Star, a Silver Slugger, and he helped the Reds win back-to-back World Series. During his 15-year career, George developed a unique approach to hitting that made him one of the greatest hitters of all time, and now your favorite player can learn it too. That's right, baseball legend George Foster is currently accepting new students. Learn the psychology of hitting, situational hitting, hitting for power, bunting, and more. Every team needs players who can hit, and George explains the game in a way that's easy to understand and exciting to learn. So check out GeorgeFosterBaseball.com to learn how you can apply for private lessons with a member of the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame. Spots are limited, and the roster will fill up fast, so don't wait. Apply at GeorgeFosterBaseball.com.
I want to talk about workload real quick, and trying to manage that. The MLB puts out the pitch range and how many days of rest they recommend for the youth players, and that's important to take into account. I just saw something earlier today that was talking to Paul Skeens and Tarek Skubal about their spa day after they pitch. So and so you throw your whole outing, and the next day they do as little as possible.
They do their nails, right? Manicure, pedicure.
But it's all about trying to give their body the opportunity to recover. And, I mean, how many stories are out there of kids throwing way too many pitches and fudging the pitch counts or going straight from pitcher to catcher? I mean, I did that too much, and I'm grateful that I don't have any arm issues, but you have to be careful with that stuff. And so just making sure you're being mindful of that. But something interesting, those, and Trevor Bauer experienced this when he went to go pitch in the NPB, but NPB works on a 6-day rotation, whereas the MLB works on a 5-day rotation. But in NPB, you could be expected to throw. You're kind of expected to throw at least 100 pitches upwards, up into the 130s, which is really unheard of here. But they have an extra day of rest, so just different ways of managing that workload. But yeah, rest in the grand scheme of the overall workload is also very important.
But another story is, a pitcher had to be careful. American pitcher had to be careful when he went to Japan to play, because they're expected to be in relief after a start. And that's how they wear themselves out. And then also Japanese pitcher, when he comes over here, he figured that he has to be perfect. They always thought that they were inferior to the American pitcher, but now they were throwing too much, and so now they have that downtime. Like, what do I do with it? So, but it's just making that adjustment, knowing what you needed to do.
And that's a really fascinating thing to dive into if you ever want to, is the evolution of Japanese baseball, because they have they're very, very militant about it, and really work their guys super, super hard, way harder than they work them over here.
Yeah.
And yet they haven't necessarily surpassed us. There have been individual players that have came over and made a big impact, but as a whole, but things are starting to change. They're starting to equal out a little bit. I mean, we saw Japan win the WBC, not this past year, but the last World Baseball Classic,
or the Dodgers, Japan, the Dodgers, same thing.
At this point. And it was interesting because I had my
Japanese Dodgers, right? Japanese Dodgers.
My buddy Taisei came over at the beginning of this year to go to the ABCA convention with me.
Great guy.
And he was blown away by how much technology we had in our baseball game. And I was like, really? Japan makes all of our technology? He's like, no, we don't operate like this yet. Like, we're catching up to you with regard to technology. And so I'm wondering if the analysis that we've done on the value of rest is slowly working its way over and starting to make more of an impact there. Whereas what you were saying, the experiences you had with Japan, it was very, the workloads were a lot heavier. So I'm wondering if it's starting to change.
Well, the saying, which I agree with, less is more. They feel that more is more.
Yeah.
You went 5 for 5 one game. Okay, let's go do more. Whatever you did, that workload you did before, let's do it again. Actually, guys had holes in their hands because they were taking so much batting practice. It's not only live batting practice, then you're hitting soft tosses. Just, I think it was like we went out there to practice. I think it was 9-1, and they were out there hitting, or swinging. And I thought practice was over. No, we see out 3 more hours. I said, wow, these guys are overdoing it.
Yeah,
they're going to wear themselves out.
When you really start to get into a quality versus quantity thing,
right?
I mean, if you want to get, Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hours, that's not 10,000, 50. Well, it's not 10,000 straight, but it's also, that's 10,000 good hours,
right?
Which takes a lot longer to achieve than just 10,000 hours in general.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I mean, you're better off to have short, really effective, devotion to your craft rather than just doing it mindlessly, haphazardly, and then starting to form bad habits.
Yeah, add the word smart to your workout.
For sure.
Bad habits will tank. We'll talk about bad habits later in the season. So, Ethan, take us out here with a little bit of discussion about gear maintenance. This is your bread and butter, and people come to you when the gear fails. Mm-hmm. How do you see gear maintenance as being part of pregame routine?
Well, I look at the first thing I want to get into is how you pack your bag, because for me as a catcher, there was a certain zen to that. There was a certain, my shin guards go together and I roll this way and the glove goes in the helmet with the thing. I mean, and that when the game was over and I packed my bag exactly how I knew it was going to be packed, I could kind of rest easy. And when, my cleats are in the cleat compartment because I changed my shoes in the dugout, I didn't have to wonder where anything was.
Nothing's missing.
Exactly. And so that already just becomes a non sequitur. I don't have to think about that because I know exactly how my bag is packed every single time. So that's a good starting point. And I know you see a lot of the kids now with we didn't have backpack bags when I was younger. That evolved by the time I was in middle school or high school, and kids like to put the shoes on the bats or the glove on the bat. And I'm not going to say you can't do that, but it's more prone to falling off. There's no doubt about that. But, and I always had a catching bag, so I always had, plenty of room to stuff everything in there. But then since I've been coaching and I've been back into the whole song and dance of coming to and from the game, it's been funny because I bring so much crap with me as a coach because I bring a cooler of water for the guys, and I have to bring the catcher's gear because we're a rec ball team, and I bring the hitting net and the tee and the wiffle balls and my bag, and I bring too many gloves because why not? So I had to call mom and be like, hey, do we still have that wagon? Can I pack that? So I'm still trying to figure out how to pack my wagon, but
she's still trying to figure out how to get her mom wagon back.
Well, but anyway, but one of the things I've been reintroduced to is the dust on the gloves. And the number one thing that factors into whether or not a glove breaks or doesn't is how hydrated that leather is. And dust, it just sucks all the moisture out. And so I've got the catcher's mitt that I've been lending to one of my players. It's super, super dusty. Yeah. And when it gets dusty like that, it gets slick. And so before our game on Saturday, I'm going to go in there with just a horsehair brush, just something nice, easy, knock all the dust off, and I'll probably go ahead and condition it.
That makes sense. I didn't realize that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was same as when if you're walking around in the desert, your lips get dry, the humidity and that kind of stuff. So
leather is skin.
Exactly. So
there you go. I know the analogy now.
But if you take that dusty glove out, it doesn't feel as nice as a well-hydrated glove. The ball's not going to stick as well. I had a guy, I think last year or year before, he was playing in a really dry part of Colorado, I guess. And he played first base, and his glove kept getting too slick. And so he had sprayed bat tack into it.
Oh, no.
And I was like, oh my God. I think I had 3 hours in cleaning that glove. It was absolutely ridiculous. Had he just conditioned it, it would have had a little bit of natural tack to it. So
you don't know what you need to know.
So that's the big thing. Just hydrate your glove, and hydrate your laces. They're less likely to snap. Is a broken glove in the middle of the game the end of the world because it gives a guy a base hit? Maybe not. But what sucks more than that is having to use someone else's glove.
Yeah.
That's awful. No one wants to do that. So
for like 2 weeks because it happened in the middle of the season and they brought it to you, and 2 weeks is as fast as you can get to it. And so,
I always offer on the spot repairs, but for full repair work, there's more turnaround to that. So, and
also I'll have a backup.
Oh, it should.
Because I should. In my case, playing, I always had two gloves, my game glove and my practice glove. Mm-hmm. And so when my game glove started to get too soft and I started breaking in, breaking in another glove. But you don't want to go out there with a new glove and cost you the game.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, and then the other thing that happens frequently is I end up with the last second break-ins as well. I just started offering break-ins recently, and a lot of people like to wait until the season starts to like, I got to get this new glove broken in. And,
urgency.
There's an off season for a reason to get prepared for that kind of stuff. But I have services built in to help you deal with that. But the idea is that you don't wait till the last second. But
even with the bats, it's important how you store your bats,
especially metal bats. Yeah.
Metal bats, and not leave it in your car as a cold day, or leaving your car as a hot day. It affects that aluminum.
And for what people are paying for bats these days,
arm and a leg.
Better be taking good, solid care of those. And if you're keeping a wood bat around, just to play in a wood bat tournament now and again, or to use in your private lessons or whatever, wood breathes, man. It's a natural substance, so it will expand and contract, and it is definitely susceptible to moisture, things like that. So take good care of your stuff. That makes a big difference. Clean your cleats out if they're all full of junk and dirt and whatever. Knock them off and clean them out. Don't just tuck them in your bag and put all that dirt in your bag.
Not only want to play good, you want to look good out there.
But we're talking about controllable things that seem insignificant but add up and can make a big difference.
Like the number of times that your teammates would turn and ask you if you had an extra belt.
Oh my gosh. I traveled with 2 extra belts because the number of times a kid couldn't remember his dang belt. I'm like, it's not that hard.
It become your responsibility.
Oh my gosh. I was the team mom.
Ethan was the dugout mom, that's for sure.
I had the pine tar and the tape.
Mama Ethan.
Oh my god.
As George said, if you had charged for those services, you'd have been a wealthy young man. That's for sure.
Tell me about it.
When I was coaching, we had to text the kids and let them know what uniform we're going to wear that day, and what color socks. Always someone forget their socks or forget their belt.
Yeah.
Like, okay, just take a deep breath. So you have to try to train these kids and make them sure that they're ready.
That's one thing I'm looking forward to about rec ball is we have one uniform. So there's no issues with that.
Yeah, see, he's just now getting into the glories of this. You've coached enough to know how many times have you had to try and find homes for things people left in the dugout and all that?
No, I learned that from coaching high school.
Did you?
They would leave their shoes. How can you forget your shoes? You're barefooted and leave their... It's like someone would leave some things on purpose so they get a new one.
Keeping track of all that stuff is definitely important, and also it keeps you from worrying, like what you said, whether or not you have something.
Yeah, it's just one less thing to think about.
Batting gloves
and your parents aren't fussing at you because your shoes are over here in the car and your bat's over there and your things,
I'm glad you said batting gloves. One real quick thing on batting gloves. It drives me nuts. I had really stinky batting gloves because I had super sweaty hands. And if you're not careful, they get really crusty and hard and they're not fun to use. So just making sure that if you got sweaty hands, to lay your batting gloves out. Don't crumple them up and stuff them down. Have them at least a little bit laid out so that they can breathe. They can breathe. Yeah.
Golf gloves are the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're the same thing. Let me ask you your opinion on this just for fun here. What do you think is the most often lost item for youth players? I'm going
marbles.
I'm going
They're
with
mine,
with sunglasses.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, with sunglasses. I was gonna say, I don't know the most, but a cup.
Yeah,
not wearing a cup.
If you just wear it, it's a lot harder to wear.
Yeah. No, I
don't know.
Yeah, but no, I found that really the glove itself, they lose their glove.
I've been surprised at that. Yeah.
The size of they don't lose their batting gloves, but they use their fielding glove.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, maybe not the batting gloves if your parents are you cotton them into shelling out $100 a pop for your batting gloves. You keep those a little bit.
Well, something that
but like the old Franklins, oh man,
yeah. But there's I think at Dick's, I'm not putting a plug in for Dick's Sporting Goods, but that you can pay insurance and they replace your gloves.
Okay.
Yeah, I have done that, and it is kind of a pain in the butt to go through the whole process. But if you take advantage of it, it could be quite lucrative. I will say though, some of the really high end batting gloves, like the Bruce bolts and that kind of stuff, they come with a carrying case, and there's something to be said for that.
Sunglasses as well.
Yeah, because you can lay them out flat in that case, and that's always nice. Everything comes with a case now these days, so take advantage of it.
Well, if it's going to bounce around in there with your bats and your gloves and everything else, your shoes and all that. So anyway, well, there's some glove maintenance ideas about how to prepare. So hopefully you guys have found some stuff that was helpful today, that you've enjoyed the discussion, and that if we missed something, if there's something that you want to add to the conversation, leave us a comment. You can do that on YouTube. We had a fellow leave us a comment last week, and Ethan was responding to it. So you can leave us comments on YouTube, pretty much anywhere that the podcast is, and we'll do our best to get to them and respond to them. But that's what we have today for the pregame routine, the importance of pregame routine. We hope you'll join us next week when we'll talk some more about the mental game of baseball. In the meantime, for the guys here, have a great week.